Today we're breaking down every single type of kryptonite in the DC universe. We all know the classic glowing green rock that makes the Man of Steel look like he drank some ancient spoiled milk. But did you know that his home planet hurting him isn't even the weirdest part of this lore? What if I told you there's a type of kryptonite that turns Batman into Superman permanently? Or a color that literally transforms Supergirl into a mermaid? Or a brand new 2025 isotope that turns Superman into a skyscraper-sized kaiju? We're gonna explain exactly how this radioactive space rock works on a cellular level, and count down every color from the standard isotopes to the wildest synthetic mutations, right up to the mind-melting new variants DC introduced just this year. Let's start with the basics. To understand why a glowing space rock can bring a literal god to his knees, we have to look at Kryptonian biology under a yellow sun. On Krypton, under their red sun named Rao, Kryptonians are normal, baseline humans with no superpowers. But when they come to Earth, our yellow star acts like a hyper-efficient wireless charger, filling their cells with solar radiation and granting them godlike abilities. Kryptonite is a highly radioactive mineral formed from the irradiated elements of Krypton's core, crust, and mantle during the planet's cataclysmic explosion. When standard green kryptonite is near Superman, it emits high-frequency radioactive waves that act as a competitive inhibitor of yellow solar energy. The radiation rapidly penetrates his skin, driving out the stored solar energy from his cells and replacing it with toxic, decaying isotopes. And by the way, this radioactive rock isn't just dangerous to aliens. Long-term exposure is highly carcinogenic to humans too. Lex Luthor famously wore a kryptonite ring to keep Superman away, only to get radiation-induced cancer that eventually forced doctors to amputate his entire right hand. As the Silver and Bronze Ages of comics rolled in, writers realized they could use different colors of kryptonite to put Superman through the absolute ringer. This gave us the classic color spectrum of isotopes. First is the standard green kryptonite. It drains cellular solar energy, causing immediate physical pain, nausea, and progressive organ failure. If he stays near it for too long, he dies. Next is red kryptonite, which first appeared in 1958. This is the ultimate Silver Age chaos rock. No two samples of red K affect Superman in the same way, but it basically functions as a biological virus that induces unpredictable, chaotic mutations and severe mood swings, lasting up to 3 days. Over the years, Red K has transformed Superman into a dragon, a humanoid ant, and completely stripped away his moral inhibitions. My favorite thing it's turned him into though is a giant lion. Then we have gold kryptonite. Exposure to this permanently destroys a Kryptonian's ability to process yellow solar radiation, stripping them of their superpowers forever. Blue kryptonite is the bizarro equalizer. It's completely harmless to normal Kryptonians, but it acts as the exact functional equivalent of green kryptonite to bizarro clones, weakening and potentially killing them. White kryptonite is an environmental nightmare. It doesn't hurt Kryptonians or humans, but it instantly kills all plant life, flora, and microscopic vegetation from any planet on contact. Black kryptonite originally debuted in the TV show Smallville before moving into the comics. This superheated variant physically splits a Kryptonian into two separate entities: their good moral self and their cold, dark, evil persona. And rounding out the core list is silver kryptonite. This works like a severe hallucinogen. It triggers deep paranoia, massive delusions, and sensory disruptions that make Superman hallucinate his worst fears, much like Batman's Scarecrow fear toxin. Have you ever tried to map out your family history on a piece of paper or in a generic Word document? You start with your grandparents, add a few aunts, uncles, and cousins, and before you know it, you're looking at a messy, confusing web of crisscross lines that nobody else can read. Whether you're prepping for a big family reunion, working on a school history project, or trying to preserve your family's records before they're lost to time, documenting your ancestry shouldn't feel like an impossible puzzle. That's exactly where Wondershare eDraw Max comes in. eDraw Max is an incredibly user-friendly, all-in-one diagram software that completely removes the guesswork from creating a family tree. Instead of starting from scratch, you can jump right into their organization chart category and choose from thousands of built-in family tree templates to get a clean layout on your canvas instantly. What makes eDraw Max such a game changer for genealogy enthusiasts, students, and educators is its specialized toolkit. You can easily drag and drop dedicated family tree symbols like male and female ancestor shapes, photo containers, and smart relationship connectors right onto your chart. If you have a massive amount of data, you don't have to type it all out manually. eDraw Max features a powerful Excel import tool, allowing you to load a prepared Excel file to generate a personalized set of custom symbol libraries in a single click. From there, the professional symbol settings give you total control over your design. You can enable the name display when previewing your symbols and use the fixed size setting to make sure every single family member box stays perfectly standardized and uniform. Once you quickly drop in your family names, birth and death dates, and member photos, your custom symbol library can be exported and saved for any future family history documents. The end result is a polished, presentation-ready pedigree pedigree chart that looks like it was made by a professional designer. When you're done, eDrawMex lets you export your ancestry diagram as a PDF, PNG, or Word document, making it incredibly easy to print out for relatives or share digitally. You don't need any design experience to map out a beautiful family history chart. Work smart with eDrawMex and see how easy it is to draw a family tree today. Click the link at the very top of the description box below to try Wondershare eDrawMex for free. Now, let's step away from the primary colors. Let's take a look at the incredibly rare, synthetic, and extra-dimensional variants of Kryptonite that only hardcore comic book geeks know about. Take Platinum Kryptonite, which debuted in 2018. This is basically a cheat code. If a normal human touches it, they permanently gain the entire superpower suite of a Kryptonian. Superman actually gifted a piece of this to Batman so Bruce could choose to fight with true strength, though Batman stored it away. There's Orange Kryptonite, which gives temporary superpowers to any animal that touches it, famously granting abilities to Streaky the Super Cat. Then we have Pink Kryptonite. Created as a parody of ridiculous Silver Age comic tropes, it temporarily alters a Kryptonian's sexual orientation, resulting in some incredibly campy interactions. It can also sometimes change a Kryptonian's gender, as seen in a few animated scenes. Along the same comedic lines is Periwinkle Kryptonite. This zaps away Superman's social inhibitions, turns his skin and suit periwinkle, and compels him to take Lois Lane out for some legendary disco dancing. On the terrifying side is Amber Kryptonite, a predatory mineral that forcibly drains a Kryptonian's life force and transfers their powers directly to the person holding the rock. And if you think that's weird, Sophie Campbell's recent Supergirl run introduced Turquoise Kryptonite. Synthesized by Princess Shark, this magical variant mutates a Kryptonian's lower body into a fully functional mermaid tail. It doesn't drain their power, but it heavily restricts their land mobility. We also have True Yellow Kryptonite, which was historically a 1961 hoax by Lex Luthor. However, in 2023, it was deployed as a real substance that actually strengthens Kryptonian cells and temporarily grants human superpowers if ingested. Opal Kryptonite drives Kryptonians into a temporary state of homicidal madness. Slow Kryptonite was modified by Metallo to slow down the radiation frequency so that it affects human cells exactly the way green Kryptonite affects Kryptonians. And Anti-Kryptonite does the exact opposite. It's completely harmless to powered Kryptonians, but acts as standard green Kryptonite to unpowered Kryptonians, which tragically wiped out the entire colony of Argo City. Finally, Kryptonite X, also known as Kryptesium, acts as a hyper-efficient cellular battery, instantly recharging a drained Kryptonian back to peak power. Of course, supervillains couldn't just leave these rocks alone. Over the years, they've combined radiation signatures to create some seriously bizarre alloys. Brainiac famously created a red-green Kryptonite alloy that mutated Superman to grow a fully functional third eye on the back of his head. There's also a red-gold alloy that leaves his physical powers intact but inflicts severe temporary amnesia, wiping out his entire heroic identity. And who could forget the synthetic tar-contaminated Kryptonite from Superman 3? Lex Luthor tried to synthesize green Kryptonite, but because he was missing an organic element, he substituted standard tar. The result didn't weaken Superman physically, but it slowly decayed his moral core, turning him depressed, selfish, and aggressive, eventually splitting him into a dark Superman and a heroic Clark Kent. But if you think this Silver Age was weird, the modern era of DC Comics has turned Kryptonite into a high-concept psychological hazard. In W. Maxwell Prince's mind-bending DC Black Label series, Superman the Kryptonite Spectrum, a deep space meteorite introduces 4 entirely new, highly conceptual variants. First is Purple Kryptonite, which targets the brain's hippocampus. It completely scrambles Superman's temporal perception, forcing him to experience the past, present, and future all at the same time, leaving him entirely disoriented. Next is Cobalt Kryptonite, which triggers massive cellular expansion. This literally turns Superman into a building-sized rampaging kaiju, nicknamed Soupzilla. Then we have Speckled Kryptonite, which is the biological opposite of Cobalt. It shrinks him back down, but when mixed with the radioactive fluids of the monster Chemo, it de-ages him into a teenager. Later, Batman even uses a Speckled K mixture to turn Clark back into a baby to save him from a deadly virus. And finally, Rainbow Kryptonite isn't even a physical mineral. It's an extra-dimensional distress beacon from the 5th dimension that drags Superman's consciousness into a surreal, imagination-fueled realm. Lex Luthor even combined all of these into a bioengineered clone called Kryptonite Man, a walking embodiment of Superman's destroyed homeworld. Meanwhile, in Dan Slott's series Superman Unlimited, a city-sized asteroid blankets the Earth in low-grade kryptonite dust. To survive, Superman's body triggers a biological adaptation called the Gold State Transition. When his cells take critical damage, his tissue turns into solid gold for exactly 3 minutes, making him completely invulnerable to all kryptonite. At the end of the day, kryptonite is so much more than a lazy, green glowing plot device. It is the physical manifestation of Kal-El's greatest trauma, the literal shattered pieces of his dead home planet, returning to haunt him. The Kryptonite spectrum is one of the wildest, most creative pieces of lore in all of pop culture. But I want to hear from you guys. Which color of Kryptonite is your favorite? Would you risk touching platinum Kryptonite to get superpowers permanently? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe for more videos like this, and I'll see you in the next one.